So you are world and European champion. So are you talking to yourself, right?
Yeah, I sit at the starting line and I'm either whispering to myself and like I have a friend online who I talk to about like she is struggling with her mental health and she's not an athlete and she's like, it's so hard to get resources because they're just not enough people outside in the profession that can help you, and it's like you have to wait like half a year, like a year to even like get to the point where it's like, oh, we can like talk with you about your problem, if like how we might can help. And I learned about that in one of my classes this semester, where it's like, yeah, we just don't have enough professionals for like the demand of like, people, like not just athletes, but like just like normal people, and you just don't want to go like farther, like you don't want to take one more step, or like, I'm trying so hard, why are you not working? And lower stroke rate, and then just pulling my steady state split, like what is going to happen? And that's like, that blocked me. If you're at the start line and you know, oh, like for like the next 7 minutes it's going to hurt like hell, it's just you and the machine. Or I'm like actually like in my mind I'd be like, okay, you can do this, you got this, and I'm just saying, okay, you've been like through this workout.
So hello friends, my name is Armin Aurstamov. I'm a CEO and founder of Got It Live mental health mobile app. We help high performers like athletes, militaries, business leaders to overcome their mental challenges and win in sports, in work, and in life. And you can, by the way, download our app, Got It Live app, in the AppStore, just putting in the search line, Got It Live. For free. And today we have a special guest, incredible guest, professional athlete in women's rowing, German national team participant, world champion, plus successful student athlete in one of the top university of the world, UC Berkeley, for sure, NCAA Division I, major in psychology, and it's a so cute fact, she was also a teaching assistant in an elementary school in Berlin, Germany. Please welcome Annabelle Oreltel. Bella, nice to see you.
Hi.
It will be just a friendly talk, and we're going to discuss about different things, about the professional sport, about student sport, and about the main challenges in this sports. And especially I'm very interested in of mental challenges, in the sport. So, and the first question I saw in LinkedIn that you are training 5 or 6, so 30 hours per week. If you have some one day off, it's 5 or 6 hours per day, right?
So it's like 20 hours plus. So it's like depends on where we are in the season. And we practice from Monday to Saturday. So it's 6 days a week, and Sundays typically off, unless we're in season where we have like competitions on Sunday.
Incredible. How many hours per day?
3 to 4, I want to say, probably, yeah.
4. How you survive?
I personally survive with like kind of alone time, I guess. So like, especially like in the past month, we had a competition. And we're like so many girls in like a really small condensed space, which is not our typically environment, I want to say. But I love to read. So it's like I have like my own little space. I can like fully just focus on reading and like just not hear or see anyone else. So that's really great. But you have to be really good in time management to find the actual time with like sports, competition, and school as well. Because if you're not good in time management, it can get really problematic.
Yeah. What do you read?
Almost anything from like fan fiction to, I don't know, crime series. My training group, we started reading the Colleen Hoover books, which are like really cheesy romance books, but it's like easy like literature in comparison to what we have to read for university. So it's a lot of fun.
Nice. By the way, it's important to read some specific things about sports, or you're reading for distract from sport?
For now, I read away from sport just because I'm surrounded by sport like so much, and I'm like, I need like some time with like no rowing, because I'm like, it's different from like person to person. Like I shared a room this season with someone who's like, oh, I could talk about rowing like 24/7, and I was like, please don't, not when I'm around. I just need like time off because it can get really intense, especially when you're in season and you have someone who's like, oh, I want to know the lineups like, on the international stage. And I'm like, I don't really care about that right now. It's like if you're at the start line, it just matters who's like faster. So it doesn't help if you know, or they're supposed to be faster or they're supposed to be slower than you. So I love to like get away from rowing a bit.
Yeah, yeah. Nice, interesting. So you are world and European champion, and you participate in a huge championship and perform and competitions. Could you tell me? Let's start from rowing, like a sport. How difficult is rowing in terms of mental pressure and stress in high level, which you do?
Um, it has its ups and downs with like the mental pressure, I think. Like when it gets into like building the boats, like the people that are in there, we do seed races and they can get really intense because depending on how good everyone is in the group, like if everyone is like similar from like their abilities, it's like 2 weeks of like every day you have to like race in different lineups, like you switch on the water. And I'm like, especially if you're not directly seed raced, it's like you cannot be like, oh, it's not my day today. Like it's indirect also you as like you also get seed race. So it's like always like you have to perform at your best level, and you know when you're not, it's like affecting your chance to be in the varsity eight, which is like our best boat. So there's like the tolerance level and patience level with each other is like getting slimmer and slimmer, and it has a lot of conflict potential within the group as well. So yeah, but then if it comes to racing, it's different like from person to person. Like this season, for example, I was in the beginning, I wasn't like nervous or anything. I was like, okay, I'm just happy to be here because I was injured last year. So I was like, yeah, I'm just glad to be like where I am in the varsity eight. I'm happy. But like coming to the national championships, it was so different because you want to perform really well. Like you want to show like that all the work you put in over the whole season, like is worth it, or like that you can show off what you like trained for. So that's also like where you have to like find your like coolness so you don't like kind of like manipulate yourself into like just like overthinking and then not performing well.
Could you tell me about a little bit more about the World Championship or European Championship, and in general, like about the big competitions? What the difference between junior competitions and big competitions in terms of mentally side and challenges?
So for juniors, it's like your first time on the international stage. And for me, I was really glad and lucky that in my first year, I was in a boat with just my team members from my own club, which is apparently super rare. Like my coach said, it was like, it just happens like every 20 years. And two of them already been to junior national championships before, and they also won them in the eight. So we had like my friend and I, we had two experienced like girls with like that we wrote with, but still like it's, I don't know, we had like this, or my coach had the vision to like make a club owned boat for the national team. So we kind of always had like the pressure to like always be better than everyone else. Like every single practice, it was like you need to be a teeny tiny bit better than before. To like first reach the goal to be nominated as the boat, and then at the world champions, because my coach is kind of special, so she had a lot of like oh no, we don't follow the actual like training plan. We're doing our own thing. Where like everyone else, because they had to follow, they were kind of like, I think they were a bit jealous about that.
Mhm.
So we also had the pressure to be like, oh, we have to perform well because otherwise not gonna look well with like everyone else.
Mhm.
Like small things became so big, and that's like where like the pressure was really on, and like to not kind of sabotage ourselves before the competition, because like I don't know, everything was just like building up and no one like talked about it. So
Mhm.
yeah, like the more you do, it's getting better. But like the first one, like the first junior world championships were pretty hard. Also because we won junior Europeans, where it's like, okay, like we are like the favorite for Europe at least. So there's just like Canada, the US, like all the like overseas
Mhm.
boats. The rest of the junior team, they said, oh yeah, you have like say if you're gonna win gold. And we are like, no, just because we dominated in Germany doesn't mean that we will dominate on the international level as well. So there were a lot of like unknowns. And then we had our own like challenges with like we fought like in this 1 week, and then yeah, a lot of pressure. It worked out well. So
From where?
from ourselves, from our coach, from like also like I think the rowing federation as well, because if you were like this special, because they again they kind of never nominate a whole boat, especially for usually you go into like selection, and then it's gonna be figured out between like the people who won the 4 and the 8 at German nationals. Then they're gonna pick like who's gonna be in the 8, who's gonna be in the 4, and we were like nominated already for the 4. So like they kind of want to be like, okay, we're going to give you the chance, but you have to kind of perform well. So yeah, those were like the main sources of pressure for us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Interesting. Uh, if I will be compete on the big competitions, what the top 3 advices could you give me?
You shouldn't think that like the oldies kind of that they have more like that they're better necessarily better than you, because you all have to put in the work, and the only thing that they might have like an advantage with is like their
Advantage, yeah.
experience. Yeah, it's their experience. But just because you're like younger or like new, it doesn't mean that you don't have a shot. So it's like don't make it bigger than it is, probably. And then for rowing, I would say don't try to kind of work magic, because if you try to like do magic, it most of the time it just turns out not working and it just gets worse. So just do the things you've been doing the whole year. And the third one, oof, all right. Probably just like breathe and relax and just enjoy. So that was like the big tip for the Henley Royal Regatta, where I just participated last week. It's like the oldest rowing competition in the world, I believe. And it's like a dual system. So it's not as a traditional regatta where it's like 6 to 8 boats like line up next to each other. It's 2 boats and there's no buoy system in there. So it's like a lot of like, it can crash. You can crash with another boat. You can
Yeah.
crash with the sidelines, which is like wood. So once you hit the wood, you're out. Like there's nothing you can do about it. And there are spectators from the starting line all the way to the finish line, and it's like so loud, and it's like a lot of distractions, but it's like the greatest thing in the world. So that was like the big tip from like our oldies in the team. They were like, just relax, enjoy, and just go for it. So yeah.
The main question which we hear from student athletes and athletes, oh, I know what should I do? Just relax, think about nothing, just concentration. But the most important question, how should I do this? Can you give some advice? How you relaxing, how you motivate yourself, how you concentrate, etc.?
I'm just trying to, like, when I'm really, really nervous at a big competition, like we have like this moment like before we like put hands on the boat, or when we have to wait to be like called in to like go into our lanes, or like as well as like we have like a 10-minute call, so you have like usually like 5 minutes at the start. I'm just trying to remind myself what I've been doing until this point, like all like the hard workouts I've been done, and it's like there's nothing that is like harder than it's like what I have to do now. So I'm like, I survived, for example, 5 times 2,000 meters, which is like our distance we have to row. But I did that like 5 times, full out every single time. So one time is like the easiest thing I can do now. And what else am I doing? Yeah, just remind the work I've been doing. Then I have other people in the boat with me, so I know I'm not alone in this, which also helps, because I think if you're at the start line and you know, oh, like for like the next 7 minutes, it's gonna hurt like hell. It's like a big obstacle. But when you know, oh, there's like 7 other girls that are facing the same thing, and they're gonna pull for you no matter what with like everything they have, it's like kind of a safety net you have, and it's like easy. That's easing my mind. And yeah, for motivation, I just know I want to win. So I'm like, okay, it's gonna hurt, but the faster you go, the like the faster you're like done with the pain, the faster you can like go back on land, you can eat a snack, you can recover, you can, I don't know, take a nap, whatever you may want to do. So yeah.
So are you talking to yourself, right?
Yeah, I sit at the starting line and I'm either whispering to myself and like actually like in my mind, I'd be like, okay, you can do this, you got this. And I'm just saying, okay, you've been like through this workout, everything else. So yeah, it helps a lot.
But usually it's a monologue inside of you, or it's a dialogue. So you're asking an answer, or you just make some affirmation.
I haven't recognized like a preference. Actually, like if there's like, I don't know, for like competitions outdoors, it's more like a monologue thing. And like when I have to do something indoors, like on a ergometer, then there's like dialogue. I think it's fluent, like fluid. Yeah.
The top 3 mental challenges, especially in rowing and like a sports, and top 3 mental challenges for yourself.
I've been dealing with this year that like on like indoors on the erg, I was like, I hit a point where we did like hard pieces, or it's like thinking during the piece, I was like, what if I'm just gonna stop here? Like, or like, what if I'm just like finish my piece on like lower stroke rate and then just pulling my steady state split? Like, what is gonna happen? And that's like, that blocked me. And so yeah, that same thought process sometimes applies to like rowing in a boat, where it's like just hard, everything hurts, and you just don't want to go like farther, like you don't want to take one more step, or like one like kind of elevate your own level. So that's what I've been dealing with this year. And I think for rowing, like a big mental challenge for us, I think, is the erg, because it's like you're on your, like it's just you and the machine, and you have this monitor where you see your split and the stroke rate. And especially for test pieces, it's hard when you see like you put everything into this piece, and this number you see like this big is just not showing you like the number you want, or it's just like increasing, and you're like, but I'm trying so hard, why are you not working? And so many of my teammates will or would say that the erg is like their biggest enemy or rival, because they're just like, I just don't want to erg, it's like so hard, I don't like it. And another big challenge is probably when you have to race against your teammates so that you can be in the better boat. And it's like hard if it's like your friend and it's like you're them in the better boat, and you're like, but I want it, but I want you to like have it. But it's like, yeah, it's tricky and frustrating.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Interesting. So in one case, as I understood, sometimes the team helps you and sometimes team bother you to concentrate, right? To keep your inner balance on something.
Yeah.
It's interesting. What do you think about mental support services in professional sport, like in, for example, national teams and in universities?
As we have like this like immense pressure with like our own sport and like university and studies, I do think we need someone like at our hand that can help us like navigate through like whatever we've been dealing with. If it's like self-doubt, like, or like other problems you might have that negatively like impacts your performance both in sports and in studies. So especially because we're such a big team and we just have like 4 coaches, like we're like 50 to 60 girls and we have 4 coaches, and it's not like they can like feel or sense if you're not doing well unless it's like, I think, almost too late, or like, yeah, or they're not like dealing with you on like a daily basis because you're, I don't know, a team captain or like someone like they see regularly for whatever reason. I don't know if it's like for office hours or something. And for the national team, because I'm like, you're supposed to be like the best athlete they have for the sport and they want you to perform well, and especially for Germany, we don't really get the support. Like it's like, I think starting to grow, but like they now see the value of mental support systems. But in like 2008, we had this like female swimmer and she underperformed. Like, I think it was like in Athens for the Olympics and like on like World Cups, World Championships and whatever. And in Beijing, like she won 2 gold medals, like 2 gold medals for 50 and 100 meters freestyle. And they made it so big, like, oh yeah, she has like her mental performance like coach and they work with her and like now she's so good. And like they make such a big fuss with that. And I just remember I think I was like 9 years old when that happens, or like 9, 10, whatever. But I sat there and it was like, why do you make that like so like big? I'm like, shouldn't like everyone has that? Like if you're like this high, like you need someone at your hand to help you with your problems, but you don't necessarily get it. So it's weird. But now I think they start to like put that in. And I would love for like, especially like Germans, like the German rowing team, that we would have someone at our hand, because like the women's sweep team where I'm like supposed to be a part of, but I'm not right now, we don't have anyone like that. And our like
not in the team, not in the national team, not in the UC Berkeley.
No, like in UC Berkeley we have someone.
Okay.
But it's hard to get like a contact with him.
Why?
Because I think they have like also like 3 or 4 people at their team. Maybe it's a bit more, but it's like, it's not just rowing they have to deal with. It's like all the other sports. It's not just like the female sports, but female athletes, also male athletes. And for Germany, it's like our team's like underperforming so badly because we don't have enough girls. And I'm like, that it takes a toll on everyone if you go to a big competition and like you put in the work, but you're always like rowing behind the field. It's like, it cannot be good for your mental health. And it's like hard that you don't have someone for the athletes to be like, hey, let's talk about it. What can we do like to help you to like not letting it have like such a big negative impact on you? Because I do think that a lot of the current team members consciously or unconsciously have some mental block probably going into regattas, because who wouldn't if you like row behind like the whole field and you lose all the time for like years? So big importance. And like the US is way better than Germany, but it's like still not good enough. Like I have a friend online who I talk to about like she is struggling with her mental health and she's not an athlete. And she's like, it's so hard to get resources because they're just not enough people outside, like, yeah, in the profession that can help you. And it's like you have to wait like half a year, like a year to even like get to the point where it's like, oh, we can like talk with you about your problem, if like how we might can help. And I learned about that in one of my classes this semester, where it's like, yeah, we just don't have enough professionals for like the demand of like people. It's still hard to like ask for help and not have like the stigma of like, oh, I'm weak because I need like help or I'm struggling. So I think a lot of like girls may shy away from like going to the coach and be like, hey, and like admitting, hey, like I have this thing going on and I kind of cannot deal with this on my own anymore. It's like overtaking like too much of my energy and time. So yeah.
What do you think about mental health apps in general? Do you know somebody who using this and what the results?
Yeah, so we actually have a university subscription for one, and
For Headspace, right?
It's I think Calm app.
Calm. Oh, okay.
Calm app. But it's like those like workshops where you listen to and like breathing exercises or like meditations. So most of the team is using them like a little bit before competitions, but like not on a regular basis.
Are you using the Got It app? I think a couple of weeks or something, right? And
Yeah.
if you can comparing the Calm and Got It app, what would you say? What the differentiation of this?
So I feel like the Calm app is more like about like, oh, you have like a guided instruction, and it's more like, oh yeah, breathe in, breathe out, and it's like more of like kind of guiding yourself to like be calm and relax. Whereas like the Got It app is like, it's like as it's like a dialogue between yourself with like the modified voices. What I like about it, it helped like personally for like the last weeks, because again, 16-year-olds on like we had to share like a whole house, but it was like sometimes it was like 2 people have to sleep in a room together. I slept at the attic with like 6 girls, and for me it helped to like say out my problem, then listen to it and be like, okay, take a step back and like take like the third person like point of view. And it was easier to get an outsider's perspective on my problem.
Mm-hmm.
And don't make it too personal, because if you're like with so many people in one space and like so many conflict potential, it's like it's easier to always be like, oh, this is my opinion, this is like, I don't know, my cultural background, like at home we're doing it this way.
Mm-hmm.
But like so less people be like, okay, let's take a step back and like their normal like way of like dealing with people and be like, okay, no, so this is my opinion, but what she's saying is like this way, and like this is like her like point of view and her culturally background. This is what like the Got It app helped me do, be like, okay, so this is my problem, then like guiding myself towards like, okay, so you feel this way, but she's probably feeling this way, or like, yeah. And then it's like, okay, what is the actual problem? Like, what is my actual problem with the situation? Is it really what she said? Or is it like, I don't know, me just being like thin skinned because we've been on each other for way too long? So that was really great.
Interesting. Could you explain by simple words how the Got It app works?
So you open it up, then it asks you what is troubling you the most right now. And you have like a bunch of like different categories, and you just choose the one that helps you best. And then you just like, you click a button, you like record yourself just talking out like what is your like your biggest problem right now in this moment. And then you can listen to yourself. But it's your voice is modified, so you don't actually hear yourself, because I do think people would cringe if they hear themselves. So it helps to put distance, and then you can like listen to it as many times as you want, and then you take on the role of a mentor, and then you think about how can you help this other person with like one simple question to like find like, I don't know, like what is troubling them, like what is the actual reason why they're feeling how they feel. And then also you record yourself, then you listen to that again as the mentee with another voice, and then it's going like back and forth for like 3 times if you want, and you can record it for like 40 seconds, which is great for like people who love to talk like me because you can put in a lot of information. And so you guide yourself towards the correct answer. And if you get stuck either as the mentee or the mentor, you have a help button where you can get like sample questions, or like kind of like a little like tip how you can help this like other person to like either understand you better or like guide them better towards a good solution for them.
Gotcha. What the 3 most beneficial thing in Got It app for you in terms of results, you know?
Results. It helps me to put myself into other people's shoes when I have like a relational problem. It also helps create a distance between myself and the problem I'm dealing with. So it's not just like, oh, but I am. Yeah, and I do like that you also have the option, the feature to like, if you have an idea, like, oh wait, I just realized the next time I'm dealing with the situation, I could like maybe try this as like a strategy to either like deal with it better or to avoid it if it's like a really negative one. And you can write it down while you're like using that, or like while you're listening to like your whole dialogue, which is great. So yeah, I think that was
Interesting. So comparing the another meditation or mental health apps, in this Got It app, you have to create the questions on your own, right?
Yeah.
But you are not you have a major in psychology, but you are not psychologist yet. And how do you do this? And how should people do this? Because people don't know what should they ask themselves.
I'm like, I think what is like my strategy is, because I love like to talk to it, like to help other people. And like when they have like, when I was in boarding school, like I lived in a unit where we had like 6 singles, and I had this one girl who was like 2 years below me, and she was struggling a lot with like her training group or whatever. And we would just talk to each other, and then I could help her with questions, and that's how I like approached that with the app as well. It's just like thinking like you talk to a friend, because it's way easier. Like if you think about it, if your friend comes to you and has a problem, like you listen to them and then you think about, okay, what can I ask to like help her? Like how can I understand the situation better? And this is like my way of approaching how to ask questions, because if you just think about, oh, it's a psychology app and oh my god, like it's mental health, I have to come up with like these great like meaningful questions. It's like that's not the thing. It's like just have to come up with questions that help you or like your friend to like feel better, to understand better. So yeah.
Interesting. So do you think the self-questioning or questioning is some separate skills which you need to develop?
The more you use the app and the more you like have to challenge yourself to come up with like a better question to like help yourself, the better you get with the skill. So it's not like a separate skill, it's a skill you already have, because you've been in a social like society your whole life, and you have to interact with people and you have to socialize and like figure out like what is the other person's problem, like, or like what do you have to do. So it's like, it's not a new skill, it's not a separate skill, it's like a skill you already possess and you can just like elaborate.
What do you think, what type of problems Got It app suits best?
Almost everything, unless you have like already like you're already so deep in a problem where it's like, oh, you probably really need a professional to help you. But besides that, I think it's like made for every aspect, like for every problem almost, like spontaneous. I cannot think about like one thing where it's like, oh, maybe not this one, but like definitely that one. So it's like for like your everyday life, like for every situation you may deal with. So that's like great because it's not just like targeting one specific like area. It's like wide and like broad for like everyone.
The next question is, what type of people is best suited for Got Apple?
Also say everyone because like it's like the stigma with like
even extroverts, for example,
like,
right?
Yeah, like I think it's like for introverts, it's like super good because they don't have to like come up with the courage to like talk to someone else. Like they can just like be like with themselves and like figure it out. But also extroverts, because I do think that even if you love to talk to people, like everyone has like their point was like, oh, but I don't want to burden other people. I don't want to like talk too much about it. I don't want to like kind of present my weaknesses to someone else. So that's why it's so great, because you don't have to like get out of yourself. You don't have to present your weaknesses to someone else. It's just you, just your phone, which you have like with you all the time. So it's for everyone, like from like teens to like old people, because like it's easy access to like help. Yeah.
What would you recommend these people, like a student athlete who is experiencing some mental challenges and need to win competitions and in the same time need to studying well? What would you advise them?
Like again, like to perform well on like both levels is like really important. It's like they have like your time management on like on your A game. Like you have to come up like write down on your planner like this is my like my weekly thing, what I have to do, like school, practice, and then you have to fill in like everything you have to do, so you have a structure in your life. Because like with COVID, we all realized structure, even though we always hate on it, be like, oh, I cannot like wait to leave school. Like no, you need those like structures in your life, because they do help you to like don't feel that overwhelmed with like whatever you've been dealing with.
So the structure, the first insight, like a structure, it's pretty boring maybe, but it saves your health, your time, and your life.
Yeah. Right? Structure is key. Yeah, it's your best friend most of the time. And
it's not why because of you're from Germany. Germans like structure, you know.
And we do love structure, but no, I do think that structure is a high key ability. If you ace it, it's great. Even if you have a B on it, it's amazing. Like you don't have to be perfect, but simple plan is great.
Structure first.
How to call it, like kind of like your safe place. You need to have your safe place outside of your stressful life, where you can recharge your batteries.
Yeah. I think it's pretty clear. It can be the family, being spent time in family, and with friends, or maybe alone.
It can be alone, it can be together, as long as it brings you joy and doesn't like take away your energy. Because I think like school, work, sport, that's like things, even if you enjoy it, they take away so much energy. So you need to find something that's like giving you energy and like light and happiness.
What young people should deal with informational overwhelming, you know? They're pretty destructive. How can they overcome this? Because for example, they want to solve their mental challenges. They try to searching in the AppStore and thousands of mental health apps, you know, and 1,000 advices. How to deal with that?
how to deal with that. So what I would do would be like I would take time in my schedule and like Google everything, like research on it, like shortly, like, oh, what are these apps doing? Like, what is like their main thing? And then like be like, okay, like write down probably, okay, I'm dealing with like this, and this. What thing is like, what is targeting? Hopefully all of that the best, and then choose for that. And that's why I do believe that this app is really great, because if you have a long list, you have a lot of like help, you can get a lot of help with this app. That will be my way of approaching finding like the best fit and not be overwhelmed, especially if you get like a lot. Like write down what you need, and then compare everything. Be like, okay, this is the best fit.
Great. Thank you very much. Bella. Very appreciate for your advices for being here. So, friends, it was Annabelle Oertel, a world and European champion in women's rowing. So, German national team participant, and just great and beautiful young woman, professional athlete and successful student athlete in UC Berkeley, and so major in psychology. Thank you very much, Bella, for being here, and good luck.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.